Welcome to another episode of Currency Cloud's Superhero Spotlight Series. Really excited today. We have Yoshi from Alpaca, CEO and co-founder. So I'll let him introduce himself in just a minute. I will say this is my last episode I'll be hosting today, but definitely tune in at 4 o'clock. Kara has Ahan from Q2 Banking on. So definitely tune in for that. But Yoshi, welcome to the show. So excited to have you on.
Yeah, so excited to be here. Thank you very much, Brady. So I'm Yoshi. I'm the co-founder CEO of Alpaca. Alpaca is building API for stock investing. So our API. Oh, so go ahead.
And just to set the stage, what we want to talk about today is Alpaca's broker API, right? Really exciting. We can get into all the different themes that we're touching on. Indirect democratization, to steal a term from some fintech insiders. So congrats, you guys just launched your data API, which is a separate product. Feel free to touch on that a little bit, and then let's get into what Alpaca is doing with your broker API as the meat of the conversation today.
Definitely, I appreciate that. We've launched broker API, a month ago now, and we also launched our data API, market data API, a week ago. So it's been like a lot of product launches, but like our really thesis is that this indirect democratization, that there will be army of Robinhoods everywhere in the world, in very different sectors, various types of approaches. So that's something that we want to empower and enable via our API. So that's really the thesis that we're going forward with.
Yeah, and so Alpaca is an investment infrastructure, if you will. Maybe you could phrase it a little bit better than me, but what we've seen in the landscape is Robinhoods and other firms like it democratize access to investment. So Alpaca has taken the approach that you're building the infrastructure behind future Robinhood. So can you talk a little bit about what that's been like, kind of the journey of the company? Because I know you rolled this out in the last month, but you've been a company for a little bit longer. What led you to that, and how it's been going so far?
Definitely. We were initially building more of the machine learning prediction models by using deep neural nets back in 2016, 2017, selling those AI models to banks and trading firms. And when we decided that we want to scale much faster, we had to really work with the broker dealers because that hold those securities and assets and financial products on their books. But we realized that it's extremely difficult to programmatically interact with the financial markets and capital markets. So we realized that is the biggest problem that we had to solve. So that's how we decided to start building this API interface for capital markets. So now we're calling that for the API for stock investing. But obviously there's a long way here. We had to get a bunch of the FINRA SEC licenses. We had to build a lot of systems internally from ground up. So it's been a pretty long journey, but what we have experienced, like how it feels to be on the other side of the table, to work and trying to build something on top of the infrastructure like ours.
Yeah, absolutely. And the term that I'm kind of stealing, indirect democratization, I think came out in a newsletter, a FinTech Takes email newsletter by Alex Johnson. So folks should definitely go check out his writing. It's pretty good. And he's comparing Alpaca, Paxos in cryptocurrency is enabling the future Coinbases, right? Stripe is enabling the future PayPals. So Alpaca sits in this world where you guys are really behind the scenes and democratizing the democratization of investing, right? So I guess in that, we've seen Robinhood take over a huge share of the market. There's several others in the U.S. that have this no fee, no commission approach. Does Alpaca see itself really as enabling more domestic players, the neobanks of the world to enter investments? Is that your approach, or is it really a global focus to get overseas investors access where they don't have services like Robinhood available?
Yeah, we tend to focus more of the global aspect. This really comes from my background, originally coming from Japan, and when Robinhood launched in 2012 or 2013, I was in Japan and I couldn't have access to that really cool Robinhood app, and we still don't have the access to that if you were in Japan. So, it really didn't change, right? So like Robinhood took over like, tens of millions of users in the United States, really, I don't know, somehow democratizing that, access. But, compared to like 7.8 billion persons on the planet, it's nothing. So our really vision and goal is how can we enable the same thing for that 7.8 billion of the people on the planet of Earth. So in order to do that, we need to have like, millions more of the Robinhoods that work in each of the regions and jurisdictions. So that's how we're thinking about democratizing the democratization of building Robinhoods.
Yeah, and I think one interesting aspect of this is the idea, democratizing access, but it comes down to the U.S. stock market. And Yoshi, you and I did a podcast that came out a couple months ago, but I do think it's an interesting point worth touching on again, right? Is why is it important to have access to a market? Why, you're in Japan, why do the Japanese investors not just feel comfortable investing in Japanese stocks versus want a global opportunity?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and it's becoming more clear that all those companies that have the basically great product that works globally, that consumer products that get distributed everywhere, goes IPO in the United States, and somehow it's always accessible from the United States. And what's really interesting is that you have commission-free investing if you're in the US, that's a norm. But if you step one step outside of the US, it's not normal anymore. And that itself is a huge gap for those rest of the world to have access to the basically financial assets in general. Like if you think about grabbing in Asia, they go into IPO in the US, and there are a bunch of ADRs that's have the Nintendo or the what is that but other Chinese companies as well. It's all comes into the US. So having access to the US stock market is always the mainstream, and I believe that that's going to continue to be the case.
So you're launching. You want the Robinhood of X country, right? To launch, and they're using Alpaca to broker the U.S. equity piece. What has been some of the biggest challenges of having this global operations, right? From dealing with those customers, dealing with the regulation on the U.S. side. What are some of the things that Alpaca has gone through to roll out this broker API?
Definitely. So I think being able to target global means that we as a team ourselves have to be very much global. So we decided to build a team not really only in the United States. We decided to build a very much globally distributed team. So now we have more than dozens of the nationalities located in the more than dozens of the countries. Like for example, I'm right now in Kyoto, Japan. There are a bunch of the people in Europe, in the North America and the South America side as well. So it's very much distributed, and that allows us to understand what is the local nuance and context, how to operate and how to offer such products to the partners in each countries. So that the how we build the culture of the team itself is really connected to what we want to achieve a global basis.
Yeah, no, it makes a ton of sense, and I think what we're hearing in the market is there's kind of a land rush to be able to establish yourself as these new players wherever you're located, right? So there's kind of a rush to establish the next Robinhood of each market, and Alpaca is playing a big part of that. So what are you seeing from the time maybe as these customers begin to engage? Are they simply offering, a stock trading app? Are they offering something more? What are these profiles of the different clients look like that you're servicing?
That's very good questions. I think that's also comes back to the discussion point of what it means to be Robinhood for country X or country A or B, because if you look at the China, that the form did not come out it looks like Robinhood, right? It came as the part of the WeChat, it was a messaging app, and it was added as the investment product, banking product. It became the super app. For certain countries that may be the right approach. Certain countries that may not be the right approach. So each of the countries and each of the culture has a different type of the relationship to this financial services in general and the money in general. So it's actually very, very diverse. We see from those super app approach to very much standalone app approach to the kind of Revolut type of the only financial services bundled approach. So it varies for each countries.
Yeah, and that's really interesting. I would imagine, as you guys onboard these global companies too as your clients, we're still dealing with U.S. stock market hours, U.S. stock market trading, and all the complexities of having the precise timing on movement of funds, having kind of this global infrastructure, right? So can you talk a little bit too about how Alpaca is able to do that, right? You have to be so much more than just an API to buy stocks. You have to figure all this out, or else your customers just won't be able to deliver a good customer experience.
Definitely. So we position ourselves as the developer first API product company, and that's what we want to be known as. But in reality, behind the scene, we are all about financial services, regulation, reporting, compliance, AML. Those are most of the operations and something that we are doing, which we don't even we even don't want any partners or developers to think about that we're doing that, because that deteriorates the developer experience. But yes, we are very careful and very much strict about the compliance and regulatory front and the risk management. So yes, we are very much financial services company.
Yeah,
core.
And so I just think it's fascinating where you have this global customer base of folks buying and selling stocks. Like, how do you think about future product enhancements? You obviously mentioned the data API, and I'm sure you're getting you're full of work to be able to service both of those. But when you get these customers coming in, I'd imagine they're looking to offer even more financial services to their clients. Or do you say to them, hey, we'll look at adding XYZ services, or is it really just about nailing the aspect of being a broker, and then if they need other things, they can go elsewhere?
Sure. We started out with the stock market access first, but this is really just the beginning. Our vision is really to provide access, enable financial access to everyone on the planet, which means financial services access means a lot of things. It happens to be investing is the first pillar that we're tackling, and that itself is a humongous beast. So we have to do it well. Even within the investing, there's different asset classes where we'll be announcing soon next quarter. But we'll be adding pretty major asset classes on the platform, and we're going to be continuing to doing that while at the same time, yes, because we built systems in-house and books and records in-house, it's extremely flexible to start offering different types of the pillars away from investing, spending and saving, e-wallets, peer-to-peer payments. Those things are something that we've been always thinking about as a midterm, long-term product suites.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just thinking about these macro trends, these firms, the new Robinhood of country A, as they launch, I think we're riding a wave of retail investment, right? It seems like there's a wave of folks using Robinhood, and whether it's the stimulus checks or the pandemic forcing people home, right? There's a lot of people saying there's a lot of different reasons for why we're seeing what we're seeing. But I'm curious if Alpaca is seeing similar trends globally. If you could kind of paint the picture for what's going on outside the U.S. With these retail platforms, if you're seeing similar things, and if you have any reasons for what's going on.
I think quantitative easing itself is definitely global trend for sure. But I think in addition to that, what's fueling this is really the series of new companies that people can have exposure to. That's something that you are actually touching or know about. It's maybe through SPAC, it may be through series of the maturity of this tech startup ecosystem, including Coinbase or Airbnb. I think those things are definitely pushing this phenomena that more retail investors are coming into the market.
Yeah, it's a really interesting time to be in this space, and I'm sure you guys are kind of inundated with customer calls to sign up. So Yoshi, it's been great to have you on. I always like to leave time if you some comments about the future of the space or the future of Alpaca, and definitely let folks know how they can reach out to Alpaca, register for the services, or get in touch with you directly.
Definitely. We will be put all the investment into our to really expand how we can improve and continue to add the developer experience. So our platform continues to be the best place to be the developers to build something that's connected to and related to the investing in financial services. So that includes from the good API product into a lot of contents, code snippets, open source contribution. Those are something that we've been always putting our resources into. So please check out what we do. Our website is alpaca.markets. We are pretty active on Twitter, Alpaca HQ as well. So please do check it out, and please ping me and ping us on the Twitter and everywhere that we are surfacing on.
Yoshi, it's been a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you very much, Brady. I appreciate it.